Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Shailesh Ratnaparkhi, 68 years old. I'm a practicing orthopedic surgeon. Recently, I've taken to photography as a hobby. With increasing age, I want to branch out from medicine to something that gives me relaxation. I found photography as a good passion to sort of relax. I'm more interested in doing bird photography, and on that count, I seem to come across the ad by Sumit. I was extremely impressed by the ad, and I immediately enrolled for today's workshop. The workshop is placed excellently at a place called Vetal Tekdi, which has got a lot of natural beauty. It is a water body. It has got birds all over the place. So it's extremely a good location for doing photography and photography workshops. As far as Sumit is concerned, he's a very good teacher. He's very good to communicate with, and he's kept good touch with me throughout the pre sessions. And he was there on time, I was there on time, and we had an excellent session. I think whatever concepts I had about photography most of them were wrong, as expected, but he's corrected them a lot, and I think I've moved towards better photography in leaps and bounds. I would say 3 to 4 steps more than what I thought I would. So I'm very happy with the present session. So thank you very much, Sumit. It is an excellent session, and I think all those who want to go into these kind of hobbies and activities, they should really go ahead with this, and I would recommend Sumit on 10 on 10. Thank you so much.
So we are at Vetal Tekdi. So it looks like the relay came at early, but we'll start walking towards the quarry now. So by the time we'll reach to quarry, light will improve. So we'll be more ready.
Even better in 10 minutes,
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So your name is Shailesh. We already met. And how do you know about this? That I'm doing this workshop. How you came to know?
One of my friends told
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this photography and showing my friends.
Okay.
He's an artist.
Okay.
I'm an orthopedic surgeon. He's my junior.
Mm-hmm.
He comes to help me in my major surgeries and kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he is part of the Hollyland.
Okay.
On that he picks somebody told me and do this.
Okay.
So that's how I came to know. And one more thing is, I've been doing photography in my area to say now it's the same birds I can see all the time. So I wanted to have a
Different.
area also. And plus, as I said, I'm not technically actually qualified. And I don't have any proper training. So I wanted somebody to help me out on that. So everything fell in place today.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, before going to our agenda, let's have some discussion on the technical part. Working with different modes of shooting, आपका जो aperture priority, shutter priority, manual mode, P mode, and using ISO to balance the exposure. So, how much clarity you have, or you?
No, I don't have it.
No. Okay, so let me start.
What I did, I put on auto mode, see those settings, and then in manual I have to put that and make some adjustment here and there. That's how sort of.
Yeah, that's a kind of same thing we do, but there are a little more granularity. Let me explain.
Yeah.
Starting with the modes, we have aperture priority, shutter priority, and there is a program mode also. All these three modes we call as a semi modes. Semi.
Okay.
So in semi means some portion you are controlling, and some portion controlled by the camera to give you better exposure. So the thing is that every time you will get optimal exposure. What camera thinks that that will be the optimal exposure for you, it will give you that setting. So in aperture priority, as its name says, aperture, it means our priority is aperture. We are controlling the aperture. And what camera is doing? Camera controlling the shutter speed.
Oh, yes.
And whenever we talk about exposure, there is a word comes always, exposure triangle. So exposure triangle, why we say triangle? It's comprises or we create exposure triangle using three components we call aperture, shutter and ISO.
Yeah, okay.
So ISO is something where we
ISO, I never knew. What is ISO?
good question. Many people say international standard of organization. That's not. It's a sensitivity. We can say it's a control the sensitivity. I really again go back and recheck the full form again, but it's not that. It's not international standard for organizations, but definitely. The thing is, it's a standard for cameras on controlling light, the sensing, how sensitive towards the light the camera's sensor. So it's all about that, and that standard is being followed by all the manufacturers. So that's why that ISO terms come there. They are following the same standard. But the thing again, the professional devices or the camera have better ISO capabilities compared to entry level, and that's where the cost varies. Besides all other things, ISO is one of the components which decides the cost of the camera, how capable it is to handle the light. Okay, so we were talking about aperture priority. So camera is giving you the shutter speed, and he thinks that whatever the aperture you set, you decided the aperture for depth of field. So when we are using aperture, it means we want to control depth of field. So any we can say how much familiar you are with the depth of field?
No, not really.
Nothing. Okay, so depth of field is something, if I am focusing on this tree, so some part in front, some part behind will be in, we can say, start appearing out of focus. But the tree will be in the sharp focus. But the thing starts moving away, either behind or either in front. They will start getting out of focus. The blur effect, the bokeh comes because of this. So all the subjects have their defined depth of field, or we assume that much depth of field we need to cover the subject, like human face. Its end to end is around 6 inches. And the rule of thumb is that when we are capturing human face or the portrait, we keep our aperture around 5.6. So 5.6 is something, almost all of the lenses, you will get that 6 inch around that depth of field. So that will make sure that your subject will be in good focus. So that's the, we can say, prioritizing the aperture. So that's all about the aperture priority. And again, yesterday you were asking, I'm coming on to that. So yesterday you were asking about that on different kind of photography, like the landscape, how we'll control that. So for landscape, we have rule of thumb, like I said yesterday, that f11 to f16. So why we say f11 to f16? Because f11 is the point on most of the lenses, it will start giving you infinity. When we say infinity, it means anything farthest behind, it will be in good visible focus, not exact focus, but you can recognize the thing. If some mountain building behind, kilometers away, you can still recognize that there is a building, there is a mountain. It will not, we can say, blur out, like we do in the shallow depth of field. So that's the, we can say, the aperture settings demands different.
32 in the camera.
Yeah, again, that is meant for blocking the light. When you say aperture, shutter speed, ISO, we are somewhere controlling the light. How light reaching the sensor. So aperture, what it do? Aperture, we can say, regulate the amount of light or control that how much light it will allow to reach the sensor. Aperture is like eye for the lens. In the lens only we have aperture component, diaphragm, we call that. On small f number it will open full, and in large f number it will start closing. So if you are in a light condition where there are too much lighting and you are struggling with the exposure, you can raise that aperture to block the light when your aperture is not your priority. So all that matters. So we don't, very rarely we go in that far aperture. Mostly we will work around maximum till f14, 16, something like that. So there is a rule called sunny 16. Sunny 16 means you are trying to catch your sun. So f16 is something which will give you the best result, the good results. So aperture, when we say aperture, just keep it simple. We are trying to control depth of field. That's it. So our priority is depth of field. Now we'll move to shutter speed. Shutter speed, as it names is, again suggests that shutter priority. We are prioritizing shutter. So we know that our subject is that much, we can say, robust, or the term I can use. He's moving really quickly. I want to freeze that movement. So I have to be on the high shutter speed. And what camera will do? Camera will go to that smallest f number possible on the lens automatically. And if it all depends, if everything goes well, you will get a good exposure. But again, there will be scenarios where you find that image is still coming dark, even on the small f number, and you have the desired shutter speed, but still light is not coming good. Then we have to go to that last our solution, ISO. So we have to raise the ISO gradually if not working with the auto ISO. If you are working with the auto ISO, then again we can set the bars. In Nikon or in the Sony also, I believe, we have option to set a maximum ISO it can go, even in the auto mode. In the auto ISO, we can set that maximum ISO limit. So like you are comfortable with the 3200 ISO. So you 3200 set on that auto ISO. So camera will not go beyond that 3200. So you know that even if go to maximum ISO, it will not cross that 3200 limit. So you will have good quality images. Otherwise, it can go to many thousands. So it can ruin the photo. So it's all about that. And again, shutter speed is not just limited to fast, we can say, freezing movements. It can be used to create blur motion effects. Motion blur you can create with the slow shutter speed. That is a kind of artistic way of, again. But mostly we use slow shutter speed when we are capturing waterfall. That really comes beautiful because the water will come silky smooth, milky effect you will get in that slow shutter speed. And again, the settings will be around 1/8, 1/10, depends on the speed of the water. Again, we have to adjust. So shutter speed is always that you have to see that how quickly that your subject is reacting or moving enough the action. So accordingly you have to adjust your shutter speed. It can be on the fast, it can be on the slow.
Like moving birds, if you have to catch, you have a very fast shutter speed.
Moving birds on the branch, yes, definitely.
Yeah, on the branch.
Yes, yes.
Not trying to sit on the branch or getting off this thing.
Yeah, again. So you have to be on the high shutter speed to freeze that motion. But again, if it's a bird is sitting quiet, you can go to that. Bird sitting quiet, then in normal general shutter speed, whatever. So the rule of thumb for shutter speed is that whatever the length you have, it will be reciprocal of that length, focal length. What focal length you are using? Like 600 mm you are, so your shutter speed will be 1/600 or above. If you don't find shutter speed 1/600, whatever the next possible. So it's just keep it simple. whatever the focal length, reciprocal of that should be your shutter speed when you are doing handheld, not on the tripod. And if if lens supports vibration reduction, camera supports that image stabilization and all, you can go to lower shutter speed also, just to have one stop, two stop lower shutter speed. But again, whenever we do handheld, we have to be very steady. We have to keep our body steady. Even when we breathe, our body shakes. So most photographers have habit of holding the breath when they shooting. So it becomes a natural habit. Even I have. Whenever I take a photo, I don't breathe. It becomes a natural habit. So yeah, the last modes we have manual mode and P mode. And P mode is something which we always use to take a test photo. So if we take a test photo with the P mode, we will understand that what camera settings will come. Let's take a practical of this. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'll just switch to the P mode and take a test shot. So in P mode, if you see, so when I try to capture this leaf, in P mode, it gave me shutter. I set the aperture to the 4.6. Shutter speed, it gave me 1/30 and ISO 250. So what I'll do, I'll just go to the manual again. The same technique what you said, that we go in auto mode, take a photo, check camera settings. So the same thing we will do. So shutter speed will be 1/250. Oh, 1/30. So I'm in manual mode. Everything is same. I'll just take the same shot again. Yeah, I'm in manual, but the same feel, same quality you got. So that's what we do in the P mode. We call this as a programmable flexible mode. If you just
doing this, I'm getting is this mode.
Now I got it.
But the light is not adequate. What should I do? Or because it's P mode, I cannot make any adjustments.
If you P mode, try to change the dial button and see what's happening. Just move the dial button to change the setting, like you do for the shutter speed and aperture and see how it's behaving.
Yeah, now it's improved. With the, yeah, I can see it better.
But what exactly happening?
The field is clear, it's brighter.
No, the how it's impacting the camera settings.
Yeah, it's gone the ISO key.
ISO changed.
Yeah, it was showing much higher, more than 4000. It's come down to this thing. Now
You are in auto ISO?
auto ISO.
Just change to manual ISO. Switch to manual ISO and do the
You
same.
Go to menu and do it, no?
Yes. Just switch from auto to manual ISO. You should have a ISO button also there.
There should be, no?
I think this is the ISO
Yeah,
button.
this ISO button, yeah.
Yeah. Just press this button. Maybe you will have that option to change it. You don't have that option.
I think it should be in the settings.
Just check.
View for quality of picture and
No,
thing.
wait, the ISO. There will be some shortcut also for that.
There should be. I don't know. Wait, go back to camera, autofocus, metering exposure, video controls, shooting display. Go to this, no?
No, in the top, the
Yeah,
camera.
here frame size, frame
ISO
settings.
ISO settings. But I think it's for video, not for this.
Oh, that's for video. Sorry.
This is
We
for
go
video.
camera also. We
Camera.
should get for camera also.
Yes, yes. Top is this one. ISO sensitivity. Yes. Yeah, this one. Okay. Just turn off the auto one. Click. Turn off.
Okay.
Okay. Now just go to the P mode. Just you are in the P
I'm
mode
in the
only.
P mode, yeah.
Just change the dial button. Just move that dial button and see that how it's behaving. Just see how it's been. Just don't take photo.
Yeah,
Just see how the settings are behaving.
The speed is is 1/100, 1/80.
And aperture
Aperture is 5.6. That is constant.
constant.
That is not changing at all.
The dial button behind you, behind the camera.
Again, that is not changing. The aperture is not changing. What is changing is the our speed.
Okay.
You can see here. 1/5, 1/6. Coming to 1/13, 1/50. 5.6. The aperture is not changing. The aperture is not changing. It's remaining constant.
Okay. So now don't move the dial button and just move the camera like this
Okay.
from dark to light
Okay.
and see how the camera. Don't change the dial button. Don't move it. Just go to
It's
lighter.
not changing at all.
Just look at the other things. Shutter speed if it's changing.
Yeah.
Face it towards the sky.
Yeah, shutter speed is changing. 1/5,
Automatically.
1/10, 1/3, 1/4. It's changing.
Automatically.
Yeah.
So are you able to control it?
No.
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 So that time also it was you are not controlling.
Yeah.
It was only camera.
Okay.
It is giving you the good optimal settings for aperture and shutter speed.
Okay.
The best combination.
Okay.
So once we get the best combination, from there we can start.
Okay.
So the thing is that whenever we are changing one stop, when we say stop, it means we are changing camera settings either down or we can say high. Like we are raising a shutter speed one step higher, we are increasing the shutter speed to freeze something. And but our light is coming down, then what we have to do, we have to open the aperture by one stop.
Okay.
So one step down, one thing, the one step up on the other thing. That's how we balance the exposure.
Okay.
Like if your aperture shutter coming down, you have to raise the aperture to balance it.
Okay.
and the otherwise. If your aperture going down, you have to lower the shutter speed to allow light. So all these things balance. That's we call exposure balance. But somewhere you will struggle where this balance is not working, but still the image coming dark. ISO. In that case, that is a very extreme situation where you will struggle. But most of the time you will manage with the same. I think it will be mostly clear about that. Aperture, shutter speed and ISO. And for ISO, we have some standard values for ISO. Like in shadow days, we use it around 800 f60 or 800 or this 1600. 400 is something kind of starting when we are working in the shadow. Even in the sunlight. Even in the sunlight. Just to make sure whatever things coming under shadow will get some details from that. Only for that purpose we use that higher ISO. Otherwise we can manage with the ISO 200 in the daylight.
200 or 400 is
100 we say is the cleanest. Or some cameras support even that expandable ISO like 50. We call that expandable ISO. It can go below the standard value. Below 100, 50 ISO. Not all camera, but some semi-pro devices they support.
I have 100. Like we released it 100.
100. So it's not go below 100.
200 X2. I don't know what that means.
That's again that's a quite high number of ISO. Yes. And that's how we control the light in with difficult light condition. How we control the exposure.
Too much light, then you need to reduce the ISO more, further.
When the light is too much.
Too much is too bright.
Too bright. You again. How much shadow is there, and if you want to capture some details from the shadow, accordingly you have to set the exposure. And there is one component called exposure compensation. So the first assignment, I always give that exposure compensation you have in your bag. So just do practice on that exposure compensation. That's the kind of advanced level of doing photography. Professional photographers mostly or highly rely on that exposure compensation to get good quality exposure. Because exposure compensation telling camera that how to capture the scene in good light. I think that will be fine.
No.
You can take one step down there.
Yeah.
Like this. Come down. Ouch. This is the quarry, and it's having different face in different season. In monsoon, it will be filled that much that you can't get here. It will be filled completely. And
the babblers.
the babblers, yes. We can see owls, owlets also.
Owls will be.
Yes. I still remember in one of the winter season, I saw one owlet just sitting, giving good pose, not even moving. Yeah. Usually they see the crowd and they move, na? But that guy was not moving. It was really amazing to see that owlet just in front of us. Yeah, I'm just observing. Whenever I come to nature, I start observe.
What is this? Is the billboard?
Yes, this is
The
the
bulbul.
it's a red-vented bulbul.
And all those are babblers?
They are common myna also. Okay, I'll just keep this inside for a while. We will start doing some practicals now. So for the camera settings, be on the full zoom, keep the aperture to the lowest f number, and ISO, you can start with the auto.
1000?
Aperture?
Speed, sorry.
Shutter speed.
5.6
Yeah, shutter speed will be, what the shutter speed you get? Do you get around 1/600 or higher?
Yeah, I get 1500, 1000, 2000.
1/500 you can keep it, because you have image stabilization.
Aperture 5, 6.3, 5.6, 6.3 is lower temperature.
Yes, on 600 mm you will get that only. So hello friends, so don't get surprised, this is just a voiceover I'm doing for this video, because there may be time when we get busy in practicals and we'll not be speaking much, or I'm preparing for the next we can say that framing. So in between I'll keep talk about the location and what we are doing at that moment. Like you can see in the video, I'm just preparing, changing the lens and just preparing for the shoot for the nature around us. And you can see that the field, the location is quite good for nature photography. Everywhere you can see that lot of greenery, and that's how the Vetal Tekdi is. Every time I really get fascinated with this location, because every 3 months this location changed their colors, and every 3 months I keep ask my participants to come this place at every 3 months, and you will feel that this place is never like before. It's always keep changing, and nature is by nature, the nature of the nature is like this, that is they keep change. It never stays still. It'll keep show you different colors. You can see that this valley is looking like a quite dry, but in summer it get full at very we can say a high level. We can't even enter this quarry place. It's filled that much. And here like in all workshops, what I do, I take few we can say initial photos and show to my participants that that's how I do my framing composition, and if you like they can retake those shots in a similar we can say composition framing. And if they are struggling in somewhere with the camera settings, or they are not getting the quality which they want, I'm there always to help them. So you can see the, Mr. Shailesh, he's carrying a Nikon ZFC camera, mirrorless camera with his 180-600 lens. It's quite big lens. I was carrying 300 mm only compared to him. So but still I never mind that even if you have a we can say small focal length lens or medium focal length lens like 300 mm, you can still manage if you have opportunity to get near to your subject. So this is what I keep talk to my participants, to never underestimate your DSLR or whatever the lens you are carrying, even the kit lens you're carrying. So in this video, if you see this, what I was showing to him, that I'll capture a photo of a leaf on a tree which I found very interesting because that leaf color was quite orange and the branches were quite bright. So I like overall feel. So whatever the lighting I was getting from that composition, I like it. So I'm just going to take a photo of that leaf and I'll show to him that this is the composition he should try with his lens and camera. He is having more advanced camera and the lens, so he should be able to get it, but we'll see that how he will be able to achieve that quality and what problem he was facing. So when I was taking photo, I try to check my camera settings, that whatever the best lighting I can get given that condition. It was quite early in the morning. You can see that sun is still not quite there, but I was just boosting my ISO around 800 or so to get some light in my frame, so I'll get a good balance exposure. So he's just waiting for me so I can show him that this is the frame that he should try with his lens, with his camera. And meantime he is just checking his camera settings, what we have discussed earlier. And in my all compositions, I always ask my participants to start with rule of third, follow rule of third. This is the basic startup point for any photographers to learn the composition and to get good feel in their photos if they are following rule of third. In the photo, I just kept that for, we can say, that little bit of branch and a leaf, and I composed the leaf in a way that it should feel interesting and there should be some, we can say, visual impact in that photo. So I am just discussing with him that what he has to do with his camera, and I shared my photo, what I captured, and we discussed around the composition and how I am going to get that feel in that photo. So if you can see on the screen, this is the leaf I was talking about, and you can see the branch is quite bright and the leaf in the orange color. It's really looking good in a contrast. I appreciate that with the green background, but we were not getting, there were stones behind, and that's what we got in the background, and that's how I applied, we can say, that rule of third in this composition. And this is what I showed to him, that this if he will keep focus on that basic composition techniques and find subject where he can fill the frame and follow the framing and composition, he will definitely reach the quality so what he was looking for. And that's what his expectation from the workshop, that to get good quality photos and to learn how to compose their subjects, irrespective whatever, it can be leaf, it can be a bird or animal. So we have to be very, we can say, stick to our we can say the techniques of how we are capturing our subjects. We have to change our angle, we have to adjust our point of view, all these things we have to take care. So you can see the camera settings here. Aperture I kept at 5.6, shutter I set to 1/250 because I was having vibration reduction option available in my lens. So I used that option to just lower the shutter speed below. I was having 300 mm lens, but still I was able to manage this we can say sharp photo even at that shutter speed of 1/250. ISO I kept 1000. So that's how we managed to capture that photo in good exposures. So whenever I'll keep add my comments like this, and we will continue follow flow of this video, and you will definitely learn a lot of new things on how I propose and how I proceed with my workshop proceedings in all the workshops, and you will definitely enjoy this. For me to get good focus of this bird, even with the 300 mm, I need more better light.
Okay.
So when the light is good, camera is really in a position to get a good focus. It's not just only about the camera settings, it's the light also.
Right, yeah, correct.
So whenever you see that your photos not giving you good sharp quality or not coming in that way, so never think like that you have done something wrong with the camera settings. It's nothing like that. It can be the light also. And to improve the light, sometimes we use ISO. To raise the ISO, it will amplify the signals and all, and there is a possibility you can get good quality photo in that. But again, the camera depends, the lens depends that how the quality will come with that ISO. There were bunch of birds on this tree when we were talking. Now they all gone. They have changed their position on this tree. Let's come.
सर पे लगा के जो बजाना है ना उसे क्यों तो हिट करता रहता है.
I found something different. Whenever I find something uniqueness or some different thing which I've never seen before, I capture. Let me show you. In the full frame, this one is popping up.
Yeah, okay. Yes, correct, that way. What was that?
That was the kind of, I think, duck only. They keep fly from this pond to that pond. Let's go a little more closer to this. Because getting near to the subject is the key.
Yeah, correct.
To get good quality work, you have to get near to your subject.
Okay.
See the frame. I was just showing the same 3 photos which you have seen just a few seconds ago.
The angle.
So diagonal line is something which creates a lot of interest in the frame.
Yeah.
So when you are
This one you took, no? Yeah. Let's see if I can focus on that.
this is not the right angle actually.
Achha.
I was talking about that focal plane.
Maybe getting different.
So he can get onto that right focal plane for that subject. But in editing you have to angle. Yeah, focal plane is something where we have to just make sure that our subject is within the depth of field. In tripod also I think you can change that. Have that option. He was struggling with that tripod because he was not able to get onto that right level of that subject. So he decided to just go work without the tripod. This is the place from where you can get a really good angle. Yeah. So I asked him to just come to that point where he can get a good focal plane. Right in the subject. Yeah. Even if he is standing I was just wishing him that please get onto that all eye level. So that's how I ask my all participants to get onto that eye level for your subject, irrespective whatever the subject. Get onto that eye level, and you will get a really better feel. Most of the time, not always, but most of the time. There will be some exceptions. So you can see me that I am just taking the photo of the same subject, the grass, and I'm just trying to get onto that eye level to get the better feel, and we'll get a good depth of field also. That's the benefit of taking photos at the eye level. If you are on the high angle or top angle shot, you will see some ground coming in your frame.
little bit we can say wider frame initially. Yeah. आप edit में थोड़ा crop out भी कर सकते हैं. ये बहुत tight framing करेंगे ना, तो then you will struggle. Full zoom में किया ना, तो full zoom में किया, full zoom में भी एक step पीछे लेके. अच्छा. So leave some space to move around. Okay. अगर पूरा tight frame करेंगे, we can't move around. थोड़ा सा tilt करेंगे, वो कटना शुरू हो जाएगा. So everything we have to take care, even with the bird photography.
Yeah, because he was carrying 600 mm. So he was struggling with that frame. Because I am having 300 mm, I was able to easily get that frame. With 600 mm, it was difficult for him.
I'm targeting.
So I never miss a chance to appreciate. Whenever I find someone taking good photos, so it's better to appreciate just then and there. So don't wait for appreciation.
I hope that will also give me this quality. ठीक है? I found something else. वो red shape में है. It's a similar thing. It's in the yellow ना. वो भी fresh है. वो dried है.
I found similar grass where it was dried, not the fresh one, not the yellow one. So I was just showing him that how the total feel will change based on that quality of the subject. I captured that photo, but I didn't like the background much, so I decided to take the frame again, take the same shot again with a slight better background, and that's what I want to show to him, that how we can get a good feel with a good background. You can see in the video that that's the final photo I got of that dried grass. Earlier it was showing in yellow, this is the red one, so it's a dried one, and you can see that how the feel is completely different. Good thing about this spot is that these long grass have sun behind them, and it's really creating dramatic lighting effect on the grass. It's like a backlight effect we get in nature. And I was just telling Shailesh that if he observe the light on grass, he can create really dramatic frame of that grass, where one of the grass is just lit by the sunlight. And I was just showing the example to him that that's how we can create a very dramatic shot in the nature, how this grass is lit up by the sun. It's really good example of backlit, how we can create good backlit effect in nature using the sunlight. And we were just observing the common birds around the lake, around this pond, not the lake. So I found common bird just sitting behind the stone. It was just peeking enough that I was able to catch that bird behind stone, and I thought that this frame is really good example where we can have a good framing. So in nature we always have an opportunity to create good frames, and then I realized that I can create more shots, and because there were a couple of birds, so we were able to create more we can say that different framing using the different compositions Like in this photo you can see that two birds on different rocks, and I have reflection of in water also. So that is, again, it's a really creating good creative photos. So on this occasion you can see the bird. So I was focusing on one of the bird, not both the birds. So I'm just focusing on that. I'm just aiming that one of the bird will be in good focus. And while we are waiting, we realized there were cormorants on the other side, and that was actually kind of opportunity, because the cormorant was sitting nicely, giving a good pose, and we had enough time to create our frame. So that's the time when I asked Shailesh to place the camera on tripod, try to make a frame, and just do good hands-on that how we can make a frame in the tripod, and just wait for different movements from the bird. Like in this photo you can see that bird how is looking behind. So I was telling him that where the subject is looking, we should have more space on that side. Like when we are following a rule of thirds, on this frame the bird is looking on the right side, so we have more space on the right side, and overall the composition looking good. And then I realized in the editing, why should not do the AI edit and create this dramatic frame? It looks like in the different world, but again it's the creative touch we want to give. I didn't did any editing on the bird, but again in this frame, this single alone bird I found, and again I tried to do the AI edit on this photo. And you can see that it looks like a bird from a different country altogether. So that's how we can play with the AI without disturbing the original subject. We can play with the elements around subject and create good frames. So we were just about to do our, we can say that schedule to move ahead, and we were just doing packing and all, and then suddenly we realized there was something happening there. And when I realized that there is something happening, I asked Shailesh to just why not take this up as an opportunity and try to capture all the birds where we can see they are in the fly. And then we were just keep observing, and I found one kingfisher around the stone. So that's where that our thought process started, and we were just talking, discussing about that how we should control all that lighting and composition, how we can get good framing while doing all this packing and all. So that's why so suddenly we realized that there was kingfisher on the rock. He was trying to fix his lens, but then he realized that the cap is from a different lens, not for this the lens which he was carrying. He was carrying 180-600 mm lens, and that cap was not getting fit. So I was keep insisting that we should carry a lens hood at least for the lenses to protect our lens from any accident, or it is really good way of securing your lens from any sudden we can say accident like that. It can stuck anywhere, and your lens hood will definitely save your lens. And if you have filter on it, then again it's a double protection. And while just when we start to move, we realized that there was a bird, kingfisher, and that kingfisher bird was quite different, not the normal what we used to see at that location. And then I realized that instead of trying from far, why should not I try to reach as near as possible, because I was carrying 300 mm lens, and for me it was not ideal to capture from too far, because I'm not going to get too much details if I try to capture from too far. Then I moved a little bit ahead, and I tried to just manage in a way that I can be as near as possible to that bird. And I was just planning for my composition, and I was so lucky that that kingfisher is really rapid, quick movement bird, but that bird stays there for that long. So I was able to create a really nice framing of that bird, and even that bird was having some we can say that food in the mouth. So in the beak it was there. So it was quite interesting shot for me. And again, when later editing, I thought that I can further improve this composition as well, that what further I can do. So in the AI edit I tried. So without touching the bird, I just created a surrounding which may look quite, we can say, unique. And this is the composition I like, because there were 3 birds, kingfisher right in the middle. So again, I like this composition very much. So we were just discussing about that, how lucky we were, where we found the kingfisher, and we were just really enjoying the shots what we captured. It was really a good moment for us to find kingfisher and even able to frame it well. And that was the opportunity we look in the nature. If nature is helping you, you will definitely have a good, we can say, time amongst the nature. And the birds are really unpredictable. You can't predict that bird, that how, when, and how it will give you pose. So that's all about the nature. And we were just keep discussing about that composition framing, what we captured till now. And the moment we start thinking that we should move ahead and try to find different spot at that location, then suddenly we realized there were some bird activity, like the white bird was coming to around the pond area, and it was flying. So we realized that why should not do practice for capturing bird in flight. And then that time we tried to prepare ourselves that we'll be ready for the bird, and I'll just change my focusing mode to AFC, continuous focusing, and I will be having a 3D tracking enabled, so I will be able to track the bird. So all these things we have to quickly decide that the subject is coming to us, but we have to be ready with the camera settings so we can capture it well. And I was in the auto ISO. I thought that I could have been in manual ISO for better result, but in very rapid sessions, sometimes it's very difficult to just observing all the things, because when the bird is in front of you and that you know that you have very limited time. So we were very lucky. That bird was give us at least 3-4 rounds of circles, and we were keep trying to follow the bird movement and try to get the bird in good focus. I was able to get 2 photos where I found that composition is good and the bird is quite in good focus. Because of auto ISO, it went little overexposed, but it's still enough. I can feel the details. I can feel that good contrast, shadows on the bird, and that was quite a good shot for me. And you can see in this shot, it quite looking that it's look like that bird is just flying in front of me. So this kind of composition really makes you feel good. And then suddenly we realized there were a group of ducks and that ducks were making a lot of movement in water. Birds showing off their feathers, and we found this as an opportunity that why should not create a good photos of that group. Initially I took a test shot. I took a test shots where I found that light was not quite good, but still in the AI edit I tried to fix the background so I can make a good pleasing shot of frame. And this duck was really showing the good colors in the feathers, and in the AI edit I tried to further enhance that overall feel of this frame. You can see that how I stretched the background in the AI edit, and that really helped me to create an ordinary shot kind of to make it an extraordinary with just little effort. On this shot I was not able to do AI edit because there were too much distraction in the background. So this is the example I want to show you, that when we are working with the AI edit as well, it's nothing like a magic that you can create any shot like that. You can get anything from the AI, nothing like that. So there will be time when you will struggle with that AI edit also. So there are some limitations, but we have to get the best possible result in our camera. And then I was just working to search, find a creative shots like the reflection shot, because we were near the pond and it's better to look for the reflections. And I was observing this we can say that dried stem there in middle of that water, and you can see that how it's creating a good shape, and I like that shape. So whenever we find shape and structure in our frame, we always try to capture it, because that makes your frame really amazing when you are able to find a frame, when you are able to find shapes in your frame. So that's that how we can do the creative work. And even when we to give it further creative touch, I converted that frame into black and white. So I've set myself on the level so I can get good, we can say, focal plane of that reflection. And I was trying different angles, little bit high, little bit low, so which works well for me. I was just checking it out. And this angle, if you see, I converted it into black and white, and it's looked like a painting. And that's the beauty of photography, that you can make the things look ordinary at first. You can make it a really good work of art out of the ordinary. And that's the whole about that, how much control you have in the editing process. And the bunch of you can say that wildflowers and grass we found in the surrounding. I was just observing the backlit on the leaves. So all these things really makes your we can say overall portfolio look good when you are working on the nature photography. And while moving around that place, we observed the bird on branch, and I was just trying to create a frame just to see that how the quality will look like. The bird was quite small, but I like the colors. And this bird, again, the surrounding is, it could have been better if we were a little near to that bird, but because we were too far and I was having 300 mm lens, I was only able to get that much quality in my frame.
Last few workshops I was struggling for birds here. Birds अपना टाइमिंग इतना हो रहा था कि birds मिलते नहीं थे उतने ज़्यादा. एक दो bird दिखते थे. आज bird ज़्यादा दिख रहे हैं.
इन जनरल आजकल बहुत bird है.
Actually winter में ना एक्टिविटीज काफी बढ़ जाती है bird की.
अरे को देखो. मारा दिलियस तेरा.
यहाँ से जाए?
यहीं से चल. यहीं जाना. Right. And getting low, why we are getting low to take photo? उसका मेन क्या रीजन है आपको डेप्थ मिलता है बैकग्राउंड का. द मोर यू गेट डाउन द मोर डेप्थ यू गेट. जस्ट इमेजिन यू आर टेकिंग फोटो और सब्जेक्ट फ्रॉम टॉप, ग्राउंड आएगा. ग्राउंड को नहीं चाहिए अपने को, बैकग्राउंड चाहिए. सो गेट ऑन द आई लेवल और इवन द लो वेयर पॉसिबल, उसको आई लेवल पे लाने के लिए डिपेंड ऑन सब्जेक्ट पोजिशन. तो उसके लिए एक प्रैक्टिस रहता है. Find one subject, take photos from different angles, one top, one middle, one low, and see उसका feel कैसा आ रहा है. Then you will better understand कि हाँ कौन सा angle हमें चाहिए. So next time you will be more ready. So we should be ready for those situations.
अगर मुझे प्लैनेट की अगर फोटो निकालने हैं तो उसके लिए क्या सेटिंग होनी चाहिए?
Planets की.
अभी ये है ना, अभी मून, ये तो ये अभी
सैटर्न का भी बहुत चल रहा है.
तो नेक्स्ट संडे जा रहा हूँ मैं उधर.
अच्छा.
हमारे दोस्त के फार्म हाउस पे सब ओपन स्पेस है और सैटरडे नाइट
मून का
कोई है ना वो, तो उस दिन मैं आई एम गोइंग टू।
मून का बहुत स्टैंडर्ड है
हाँ।
आपका, इसका एक ना फिक्स कहते हैं गाइडलाइंस या रिकमेंडेशन या स्टैंडर्ड रहता है मून की फोटो के लिए।
हाँ
वट एवर योर शटर स्पीड
हाँ
दैट विल बी योर ISO।
ओके
1/100 अगर शटर स्पीड है
हाँ, तो
तो
100
100 ISO,
Okay.
1/500 शटर स्पीड है तो 500 ISO।
ओके
ये स्टैंडर्ड रहता है।
ओके
बाकी आपका एपर्चर, क्योंकि एपर्चर यू कैन ओपन इन फुल
या
जितना आपको अलाउ कर रहा है लाइट के लिए।
नहीं, अब ये समझो अभी मैंने एक्चुअली निकाले मार्स के वगैरह, मार्स के नहीं इसके निकाले, जुपिटर के। आई कैन सी 4 मून्स ऑफ दिस थिंग।
वाओ नाइस।
लेकिन इस पे लगा के एंड एक्सपोजर टाइम वाज यू नो पूरा कितना 1 सेकंड 2 सेकंड हो रहा था पूरा। लेकिन एंड रिमोट शूटिंग, कैमरा सेट किया था और रिमोट से शूट किया पूरा, तो 4 मून दिखे बराबर से। शायद होगा, मुझे पता नहीं।
तो ये जो एरिया है अपना,
हाँ
ये पूरा यहाँ पे अच्छे ग्रीन ट्रीज हो जाते हैं मॉनसून के अराउंड। अभी थोड़ा जला दिया है इन्होंने। सो ये अपना प्लेस है जहाँ पे मोस्टली हम जाते हैं बर्ड फोटोग्राफी के लिए बिहाइंड। सो व्हेन यू गो इनसाइड ना तब आपको समझ में आएगा दैट व्हाट इज आई एम रेफरिंग। वहाँ पे बैक साइड पे ट्रीज हैं एंड विल गेट गुड कंपोजिशन एट द आई लेवल एंड द लॉट ऑफ डेप्थ इन द बैकग्राउंड। तो आपको जो क्लियर फ्रेम भी मिलेगा वहाँ पे। थोड़ा सा रिस्की रहता है यहाँ पे चलना मानसून टाइम में, जब गीला होता है ना तो तब थोड़ा ध्यान रखना पड़ता है। यू विल फाइंड ब्लू कलर बर्ड और अपना ग्रीन बीटर्स यहाँ पे काफ़ी रोम अराउंड करते रहते हैं। थोड़ा ध्यान से। So we have to take one step like this to cross. Careful, careful. दिस इज द हाईएस्ट पीक इन पुणे। तो यहाँ से जो व्यू मिलता है वो बहुत अमेजिंग रहता है।
ये देखिए जुपिटर विद 4 मून्स, और ये मार्स का अलग है, वो मैंने कोलर किया है क्योंकि दोस्तों को भेजने के लिए। ये लेकिन ये 4 मून्स असली। इसे इसको रिमोट शूटिंग का ऐप है ना इसमें, तो उससे करता हूँ।
निकॉन के मैक्सिमम कैमराज में मिल जाता है वो वाईफाई वाला।
हाँ
ब्लूटूथ आजकल तो ब्लूटूथ से भी हो गया है।
ब्लूटूथ भी है।
हाँ अभी तो ब्लूटूथ से भी हो गया है। बट वाईफाई में मेरे इसमें ना वाईफाई है सिर्फ, वो बैटरी बहुत जल्दी ड्रेन कर देता है।
हाँ करेक्ट।
तो ब्लूटूथ में भी ऐसे ही है क्या?
हाँ
बैटरी बहुत जल्दी ड्रेन होता है। लो आगे चलते हैं पहले। एंड वी हैव टू फॉलो द लाइट कि लाइट कहाँ पर आ रहा है। अगर सब हम सन शुड बी ऑलवेज बिहाइंड अस, वो अपने को रखना है तरीका, अदरवाइज विल एंड अप विद सिलोटे। इधर जब भी आता हूँ मैं थोन फोटोग्राफी करता हूँ थोड़ा सा ये भी अपने आप बहुत बड़ा सब्जेक्ट है, थोन फोटोग्राफी। गूगल में आप थोड़ा सर्च करो इसके ऊपर, काफ़ी कुछ मिलेगा। सो इट्स अ रियली बिग सब्जेक्ट। इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट कि फॉर द फन वी आर कैप्चरिंग। इट्स रियली, उसको कुछ लग रहा है।
मेरे पैर में मान जाता है ये वाले।
उसको लग रहा है वो कुछ है। तो ट्राई लिटिल बिट वॉर्न फोटोग्राफी। यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा ड्राई पार्ट अपने को चाहिए।
I was showing him that we should just look for that one of that stem isolated branch which we can further separate it from the background. So he's using 600 mm focal length for that to capture, so he has to maintain that distance to capture this similar frame. And I was showing him that if I'll keep my finger, you can easily focus on my finger if he is struggling with the focusing on the stem. So that's how we can help each other in framing. And this is thone photography is really good concept, and it will give you really good stock photo collection. So you can sometimes really enjoy the we can say composition. So that's how I composed for the thones. And after converting into black and white, they look really amazing. And besides this, we found the dry grass there. And because of backlit, it was really creating a nice framing, and I found a green leaf amongst the dry grass, and it was again it's a unique shots. We always look for the uniqueness in the nature, and nature is always there to help you, to give you unique photo frames. We were talking about keynotes for nature photography, like what lens we should bring for the nature photography, what are the options available, how we can get familiar with the camera settings, and what are the composition rules, like rule of thirds, how we have to follow, and all these things we were discussing about. And patience is the key for nature photography. We can't control the nature aspect, so we have to adjust ourselves for the nature. We have to wait hours and hours for a bird to come and give a pose and all these things we were discussing about, how we can use a crop sensor camera body for our advantage, think ahead of nature photography, plan for location, outfit, equipment, all these things we were discussing about. And we realized there was tree behind us, and it was having really good cracks on that, on a white tree with cracks. It's like an opportunity to create a good texture abstract art photography example. And I was filling the frame with the 300 mm lens, and the same I asked Shailesh to follow the same technique, fill the frame using 600 mm lens. He has to have some distance because of 600 mm. He has to maintain some distance to get similar quality of the framing, and that's how I got the quality in the photo. You can see that how the cracks are really looking amazing. It's a really nice abstract art photography where we can't identify that what is the subject was.
Peacock.
Oh, look. You can do it. Just
मूवमेंट नहीं करना है, वो आएगा इधर. Don't look for the quality. It was just a record shot for the peacock because sometimes it's really difficult to find peacock at that location. Can do it. हम जितना उसके वो करेंगे ना उतना नीचे चला जाएगा.
नहीं है, मैं निकालने के पहले गया.
For the memory.
Yeah. Yes.
For the sake of memory, I got it.
Yes. Yeah, man.
They are like this. अभी तो हम इसके जैसे पास जाएंगे वो और नीचे चला जाएगा.
हाँ.
अराउंड मानसून यहाँ पे ग्रीन बी ईटर बहुत ज़्यादा आते हैं.
हाँ.
है